Maria, a brave Filipina nanny, uncovered a secret so dark it could cost her life. Inside the luxurious villa of a powerful sheikh, she discovered a horrifying human trafficking operation that would lead to her tragic murder. Maria was a 28-year-old Filipina with dreams bigger than the small town she had grown up in. Life back home had been hard, long hours, low pay, and constant worry about supporting her family. But Maria had always believed there was a better life waiting for her somewhere else. When she received an offer to work as a nanny for a wealthy sheikh in Dubai, she felt like her prayers had been answered. The salary was far beyond anything she could earn in the Philippines, and the promise of living in a luxurious villa made the opportunity almost too good to be true. Her journey to Dubai was filled with excitement and nerves. She carried a small suitcase, her heart heavy with both hope and apprehension. Upon arriving, she was immediately struck by the city's towering skyscrapers, sparkling lights, and the extravagant lifestyle surrounding her new employer. The sheikh's villa was unlike anything she had ever seen. Immense, with marble floors, intricate chandeliers, and a sprawling garden that seemed more like a private park than a backyard. It was the kind of place people only saw in movies or magazines. And for Maria, it felt like stepping into a dream she had longed for her entire life. The first days were overwhelming. Maria learned the villa's layout, familiarized herself with the children's routines, and tried to blend seamlessly into the household staff. The other employees were polite but distant, and while Maria felt welcomed, she couldn't shake a strange sense of unease. Everything appeared perfect on the surface, the smiles, the luxury, the comfort, but deep down, something felt off. There was an unspoken tension in the air, a feeling she couldn't yet name. Maria pushed the thought aside, telling herself it was just the stress of adjusting to a new country. Little did she know, the villa held secrets far darker than anything she could have imagined, secrets that would change her life forever. One evening, as Maria finished tidying the villa's storage room, she noticed a small, barely visible door tucked behind a stack of old crates. Curiosity got the better of her, and she gently pushed it open. Behind it was a narrow hallway leading to a hidden office, a place no ordinary staff member would ever be allowed to enter. The room was dimly lit, filled with shelves stacked with files, binders, and folders that seemed to stretch endlessly. Papers were scattered across the floor, some with photographs attached, others marked with cryptic notes and strange codes. Maria's heart pounded in her chest as she realized she had stumbled onto something far more serious than she could have imagined. Carefully sifting through the documents, Maria's hands trembled as she uncovered evidence of a human trafficking network operating under the sheikh's orders. There were lists of names, passport copies, and photographs of young women who had gone missing under suspicious circumstances. Some had been smuggled from other countries. Others had been trapped in the city with no way to escape. Maria's stomach churned as the horrifying truth became clear. The sheikh, the man she had trusted, was behind a large-scale operation exploiting innocent lives. Fear and disbelief surged through her, but alongside it grew a sense of duty. She could not ignore what she had found. The danger of being discovered loomed over her. Every creak of the villa, every shadow in the hallway seemed amplified. She knew if anyone realized she had accessed the office, her life could be in jeopardy. Yet, Maria's conscience would not allow her to remain silent. She carefully memorized faces, noted names, and took mental snapshots of the documents. Each piece of evidence was a potential key to saving lives, and she resolved to find a way to expose the operation, unaware that the deeper she dug, the closer she came to a deadly trap from which there would be no return. From the moment Maria returned from the hidden office, a creeping sense of unease began to take hold. She noticed small changes around the villa that she hadn't paid attention to before. Items she was certain she had placed in their proper spots were slightly moved. Doors that should have been locked were ajar, and occasionally, she would catch glimpses of unfamiliar faces lingering near the villa's perimeter. At first, she tried to dismiss it as her imagination, a natural reaction to the stress of living in a new country. But the feeling only grew stronger with each passing day. The other staff members, who had once been cordial, began acting strangely. They avoided her gaze, spoke in hushed tones, and occasionally gave subtle warnings that Maria didn't fully understand. She noticed that her phone occasionally went missing or displayed strange notifications, suggesting someone had been monitoring her messages. Maria realized, with growing dread, that the villa was a carefully controlled environment. Every corner seemed under surveillance, and the powerful Sheikh had eyes everywhere. The realization hit her hard. She was no longer just an employee, she was a target. Despite the fear gnawing at her, Maria refused to let it paralyze her. She became meticulous in her routines, constantly checking doors and windows, and carefully planning every move she made. Even when stepping outside, she was hyper-aware of her surroundings, noting every shadow, every unfamiliar figure. The villa, once a place of opportunity and luxury, now felt like a cage. Every day, the tension escalated. Maria could sense the invisible net closing around her, but she also understood that retreat was not an option. Her conscience would not allow her to ignore what she had discovered in that hidden office. She knew that acting cautiously was the only way to survive while she tried to find a way to expose the Sheikh's crimes. The shadow of danger loomed ever closer, and Maria's life hung precariously. Maria knew that simply knowing about the Sheikh's crimes was not enough. She had to gather proof, concrete evidence that could bring the operation down. Every night, after the children were asleep and the villa fell silent, she would carefully retrieve the documents and photographs she had previously discovered. She photographed files with her phone, memorized faces and names, and even began piecing together the complex network of people involved. Each step was taken with extreme caution. One wrong move could cost her life. She created a hidden storage space beneath her mattress where she kept the most sensitive material. She hid copies of photographs and notes inside hollowed-out books and carefully labeled folders, making sure that no one could trace them back to her. Maria also started to mentally plan her next steps, how she could safely leave the villa, who she might contact, and how to get the evidence into the hands of the authorities. She understood that time was running out. Every day brought the risk of discovery closer, and she could feel the pressure mounting. The staff seemed increasingly wary of her presence, though none confronted her directly. Subtle glances and whispered warnings reminded her that she was being watched. Despite the fear that gripped her at times, Maria's determination never wavered. She knew that if she could expose the network, countless lives could be saved, and the women trapped in the trafficking ring might finally gain freedom. Yet, the deeper she dug, the more dangerous her position became. Hidden cameras, security guards, and the loyal staff of the Sheikh created a web of surveillance that threatened to trap her at any moment. Each night brought a mixture of adrenaline and terror as she moved through the villa, collecting evidence, always alert for any sign of suspicion. Maria's bravery was matched only by the ever-present danger surrounding her, and with every secret she uncovered, the shadow of a deadly confrontation grew. Maria could no longer ignore the signs that her every move was being monitored. The once subtle warnings had become more direct. She noticed staff members deliberately lingering in hallways, their eyes following her, and caught glimpses of strangers outside the villa, their presence unexplained yet menacing. Her phone often behaved strangely. Messages disappeared, calls were mysteriously dropped, and she began to suspect that someone had access to her private conversations. The realization hit her like a cold wave. The Sheikh's influence extended far beyond the villa, and she was trapped in a carefully orchestrated surveillance net. The tension became unbearable when the Sheikh himself began making appearances in places where Maria least expected him. Though he never accused her openly, his piercing gaze and subtle gestures made it clear that he knew she had uncovered something. Fear gnawed at her every thought, but it was matched by a burning determination. Maria understood that if she was discovered, she would have no chance to escape. Yet, retreating or fleeing without a plan seemed just as dangerous. Her attempts to prepare for departure were met with obstacles. Flight tickets disappeared mysteriously, and her documents were subtly withheld or misplaced. It became evident that leaving the country on her own terms was impossible. Someone was actively blocking her. Maria began to realize the full extent of the Sheikh's power. His network of loyal staff and security personnel made even the simplest escape a near impossible task. Despite the growing danger, she refused to give up. Every moment became a careful calculation: when to move, what to say, and whom to trust. The villa, which once represented opportunity and luxury, had become a prison. Each day, the walls seemed to close in, and Maria felt the weight of both fear and responsibility pressing down on her. She understood that exposing the Sheikh's operation was no longer just a matter of justice. It had become. Maria decided that waiting any longer was too dangerous. She had collected enough evidence to expose the Sheikh's operation, and she knew she had to act quickly. Late one night, after everyone in the villa had gone to sleep, she quietly made her way to the hidden office, carrying the documents and photographs she had carefully stored over the past weeks. Each step was measured, each creak of the floor a sharp reminder of the risk she was taking. Her pulse raced, but her determination was stronger than her fear. As she entered the office, she sensed immediately that something was wrong. The air felt heavier, and a faint hum of machinery suggested hidden cameras were present. Before she could fully process the danger, the door slammed behind her. Staff members she hadn't noticed were blocking the exits, their expressions cold and unyielding. Maria's heart pounded as she realized she had walked straight into a trap. The Sheikh himself appeared, calm and menacing, a cruel smile on his face. The struggle was sudden and brutal. Maria tried to hide the evidence, but the men were fast and well-trained. Every move she made was anticipated, every escape route cut off. The documents she had risked her life to protect were snatched from her hands. In the chaos, she fought with every ounce of strength, but the overwhelming force of the Sheikh's loyal staff left her powerless. In that moment, the villa that had once seemed like a paradise became a cage of terror. Maria realized that her mission to reveal the truth had put her directly in the path of lethal danger. Despite her courage and meticulous planning, the Sheikh had anticipated her actions. The hidden office, the carefully collected evidence, and the hope of exposing the trafficking network, all of it hung by a thread as Maria faced the cruel reality of the deadly trap she could not escape. Maria never made it out of the villa alive. Days passed before anyone noticed she was missing, and by the time authorities were alerted, the trail had gone cold. Her body was eventually found in a remote area far from the city, hidden and discarded as if she had been erased from existence. The discovery shocked her family back in the Philippines, who had no idea she was in such danger. Friends mourned the sudden loss of a kind, courageous young woman who had left home with nothing but hope and determination. The grief was overwhelming, but the tragedy was compounded by the horrifying realization of what had caused it. Despite the fear and secrecy surrounding her death, Maria's bravery had not been in vain. The documents she had painstakingly collected, hidden beneath her mattress and in secret storage spots around the villa, were eventually discovered by someone outside the Sheikh's inner circle. Authorities were able to access her evidence, and it revealed the full extent of the human trafficking network she had uncovered. Names, locations, and photographs exposed the scale of the operation, implicating not only the Sheikh, but also several of his closest associates. Maria's story quickly spread internationally, drawing attention to the horrifying crimes she had risked her life to expose. Though she did not live to see justice served, her courage became the catalyst for a series of arrests and investigations that dismantled a powerful criminal network. Her death was tragic, but her legacy was profound. A single act of bravery had uncovered a secret world of exploitation and given voice to countless victims who might otherwise have remained unheard. Maria's memory endured, a haunting reminder of both the cruelty she faced and the courage it took to confront it. The discovery of Maria's evidence sent shockwaves through law enforcement agencies. The files, photographs, and notes she had risked her life to collect became the foundation for an international investigation into the human trafficking network. Authorities traced the network's operations across multiple countries, uncovering a web of corruption, bribery, and exploitation that implicated not only the Sheikh, but also several high-ranking officials and wealthy accomplices. The magnitude of the crimes shocked the public, and Maria's name quickly became associated with courage and sacrifice. The Sheikh, once seemingly untouchable, was eventually arrested. His loyal staff members and collaborators were also brought to justice, many facing long prison sentences. Victims who had been trapped for years were finally freed, thanks to the meticulous evidence Maria had gathered. Humanitarian organizations stepped in to provide care and rehabilitation, helping survivors reclaim their lives after years of abuse and fear. Maria's bravery had not only exposed the criminal enterprise, but had also saved countless lives, ensuring that the victim's suffering was finally recognized and addressed. Her story inspired people around the world. News outlets, social media, and advocacy groups highlighted her courage, emphasizing the importance of standing up against injustice, even in the face of extreme danger. Organizations dedicated to fighting human trafficking cited her actions as an example of how one individual's determination can make a significant impact. Families of victims found hope in her legacy, knowing that her sacrifice had made a tangible difference. Though Maria had died tragically, her name lived on as a symbol of resilience and heroism. The luxurious villa that had once been the site of fear and control became a reminder of both the darkness she faced and the light she brought into the world. Her story continued to motivate others to act against exploitation and injustice.